solitude. It had rained earlier that day. She could smell moist earth, and for a brief time the tangled complications of her life receded. She gazed into the field, wondering about the section of stone wall at the far end protruding from the ground, like a skeletal arm waving from the grave. Andrea was never normally curious about such things, but the wall looked old, and there was an archway in its centre, the remains of an old doorway, perhaps. "Lovely, isn't it?" Startled, she swung round to see a lean, middle-aged man with receding hair and a dark beard looking at her earnestly. In his walking boots and outdoor attire, to Andrea, he might as well have been a member of an alien species. "Yes, it is," she answered politely, and made a show of looking at her watch, because she had no wish to continue a conversation with this intrusive stranger. He seemed to take the hint, and let himself into the field, clanging the gate behind him. The roar of a motorcycle passing on the road shattered the peace of the moor as she watched the stranger pick his way over the uneven grass toward the ruined wall. She was about to return to the car when a loud crack sent birds fluttering upwards, crying in alarm. She turned in time to see the stranger in the field fall to the ground like a rag doll dropped by a petulant child, and for a few seconds she stood paralyzed with shock. It was clear the stranger needed help, but before she could unfasten the gate, a second shot rang out, and she felt a blow to her chest that sent her staggering backwards. Then the green world turned black. Extract from draft PhD thesis written by Alcien Garrard, July 1995. The importance of Sir Matthew's meticulously kept parish records cannot be overemphasized. Having been discovered in the archives of Exeter Cathedral, where fortunately they escaped the bombing of the city during the Second World War, they provided us with a valuable insight into the life of a small Devon parish before Henry VIII's decision to deny the authority of the Pope caused political and social turmoil throughout the land. There is evidence that Devon, geographically distant from the powers that be in London, was largely resistant to the changes in church practice demanded by the authorities, and Sir Matthew's records, incidentally, the title Sir was used routinely by priests in those days, give us a vivid picture of how events almost 300 miles away in London caused dramatic upheavals to the comforting rituals of village life. His account of his parishioners' joys and woes are compassionate and sympathetic, and his interest in science shines through his words, especially his attempts to harness it for the benefit of his flock. However, various contemporary documents suggest that the apparently benign priest started a chain of events that was ultimately to release a force of evil beyond his control. Chapter 2. She's been missing for a week now. D.I. Wesley Peterson watched the chief superintendent's face and saw concern there. C.S. Noreen Fitton was a tall, angular woman, wearing a uniform so crisp it might have been taken from the pack that morning. She looked formidable, but Wesley had always found her a reasonable boss. How old is she? 17. Turns 18 next week. She was in the 6th form at Wydale School, but she refused to go back at the start of this term. She rolled her eyes, and Wesley guessed she found the idea of a girl with such privileges throwing it all away exasperating. ECI Jerry Heffernan was slumped in the seat beside him, a frown of concentration on his chubby face. "If there's one thing I know about teenage girls, it's that they can't resist sharing the ins and outs of their lives with their mates," he said. "Has anyone had a word with them?" A uniform spoke to some of them, but they weren't much help. Jerry sighed. "Is there any reason to believe she's in danger?" C.S. Fitton shook her head, a severe bob undisturbed by the movement. She was attending a residential drama course near Neston,